the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, Double Twist. Thank you always and forever for downloading and listening to this show. And it is a great pleasure to have you joining me once again today on September 11th, 2021, the 20-year anniversary of the original September 11th. So today I'm definitely going to get into that a bit. My reflections of that day, maybe a little bit of some background information on what I believe truly happened that day. A little bit. I don't want to get too hard and heavy, too crazy, but I'll get into kind of what I believe took place during the course of that day. Of course, we're going to talk about the Biden vaccine mandate and the insanity of it all. And we'll also hear from Dr. Fauci, what he said about natural immunity, something that I now have because I apparently had COVID-19 from, now I'm forgetting the exact date, but it was like the second week of August into the 3rd. That's basically what happened. I had no lung issues whatsoever, zero lung issues, could hardly eat a dang thing for about 2 weeks. But, you know, I kind of ate the cute like Jell-O type stuff, some fruit, this and that. I lost some weight, and now it's starting to come back, which sucks. I'd like to actually lose that weight permanently because I'd like to lose weight. Yeah, and I don't know. Now I'm eating like an absolute nut job, which is really bad. So here we go again, right back where we started, right? That's how that goes. But yes, I did have COVID-19 for about a 2-week span in the middle of August. Obviously, I completely recovered. I knew I was in trouble when I suddenly couldn't smell or taste. I was like, oh, great, here we go. The taste was always kind of there, but it got weird. Everything was ultra salty, we'll say. And all of a sudden, the smell just vanished. See, I would use permanent markers to check and see if I could smell anything. And it's like, oh, cool, I'm still okay. Because it felt like a cold with a sore throat at first. I can still smell. It's not COVID. And all of a sudden, the smell just disappeared. I'm like, oh, no. So then I got tested. And, yeah, it was COVID-19. It sucked. But I never once, and I mean absolutely, by the grace of God, never felt in danger for a split second. I just felt icky. That's all. Tired, weak, that kind of stuff. The tired weakness started to go away when I kept going outside. Funny, when they say just stay indoors, stay indoors, stay indoors. I felt way better when I went outside and got some natural vitamin D from something, that big round ball in the sky that's so bright you can't really look at it for longer than a second. You know, that thing? It provides natural vitamin D, and I felt better immediately on those hot summer days because it was still quite hot at the time. One hell of a hot week it truly was. I was about 6 days off of work at the end of the day, and they paid for it. So thank you very much, Boston Scientific, for that. Big shout out to them just for that in general, and appreciating my supervisor, Jason Dahl, being patient and kind throughout the whole thing. And, of course, line flow and 10-year friend, Jacob Bombassa, as well. So I truly doubt they'd listen to this show. I think our politics are probably not on the same page. Obviously, I'm a conservative Christian. Jacob's definitely a Christian. Jason, I'm pretty sure he is, but, you know, I don't think their politics line up with mine. But that's just how that goes. So, at the end of the day, let's apologize. I stupidly left the air conditioner on. I want the air conditioner, but, yeah, it makes too much noise. It would be a pretty obnoxious situation there. But that's my situation with COVID-19. I deeply apologize for the extremely long delay through the course of the show. Obviously, was keeping up with some of the sports podcasts, the off seasons with the NHL and NBA, and also, again, the 2 jobs, the lawn service, and of course Boston Scientific and all that. So it was tough. I apologize. I wanted to come on. I could have came on, but usually, see, this show's a little tougher in terms of if my wife's home. I don't want to do the show with my wife here listening to it. So I don't think that'd be good. Hearing what I have to say, she's not exactly excited about me going public about politics. I wish she wasn't that way, but that's how that goes. So Yes, I'm sneaking behind her back about it, but it is what it is. She doesn't, it's nothing terrible. It is what it is. I mean, we're all different. We all have to be a certain way. I'm not as afraid to go public about politics. She is, that kind of thing. So that's just how that goes. I apologize if that may offend or annoy some people out there. Also, I'll try to empty the mailbag. Unfortunately, that also kind of came to a screeching halt as well. I'm guessing people like Mark Carlson and such, maybe they just, they were enjoying their summer and all that. Hope to hear from you more and more. Again, sorry about not getting on more and more often. Some beautiful old pictures. So, wow, this was the same day, 6 years ago, that I believe this was the day before things got stupid, 6 years ago, where, my brother's truck ended up getting, we were suspended from doing the lawn service because we didn't have more government control. We didn't have that. We didn't know we needed it at the time, which is our own fault, but still, more government control. That whole U.S. dot thing on the truck, this and that. We just didn't know that was required at the time, and we apologize if some of you might think we're stupid and ignorant. But again, that's just more government control, take more money from us, and all that. So we'll never forget 9/11, 20 years ago. Let's get to that if we can. 2,996 deaths on that day. Oh man, it was definitely a crying shame what happened. Obviously, the 3 airplanes and stuff, Flight 93. It was just a very sad situation. A couple of hockey scouts from the Los Angeles Kings. Interesting situation there where Bruce Boudreau, the former Wild coach, and at the time, obviously, way before he coached the Wild, was going to be on that flight. And circumstances made him not go on that flight. It ended up being the other scouts instead, and they lost their life instead of him. So he's like forever just like, thankful that he's still alive, but feels guilty, feels sad, and all that. So it's just crazy when you think about it. That situation. Bruce Boudreau would have never coached the Wild. He would have died 20 years ago. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. 25,000 approximately non-fatal injuries, but at the same time, with the asbestos and other dangerous substances in the air. See, this is when there was a situation where you might want to wear a mask, plus these substances were a lot larger than a virus, which apparently are 1,000 times smaller than bacteria. 1,000 times smaller. That's why they say the masks are pretty much worthless for viruses. But for bacteria, okay, fine, I guess. But with a virus, it's the old chain link fence trying to stop a mosquito, that kind of thing. You've probably heard that before, those of you out there. There I go, kind of merging two topics together that are way all over the place. But stories about people saving lives and then going back up, saving more lives, going back up again, and then dying. It's just, when you hear stuff like that, it breaks your heart. Your eyes well up, and we're just going to continue to be thankful to those people for the lives they saved. We don't know, we never met them. We don't know who they really, we don't know what they were like, this and that, but it does show that unbelievable American humanity they had that day. And my God, people like that, and of course the innocent folks that were trapped and jumping out of the building. Unbelievable situation there. So now my memories of that day 20 years ago, my dad was kind enough to give me a ride in the morning to work. U.S. Bank. It was the U.S. Bank Tower on 6th Street in downtown Minneapolis back then. I was only 21 years of age. Was I 21? 22 years of age. Yeah, it's 1979. Pardon me. 22 years of age. Going to downtown Minneapolis again, the U.S. Bank Tower, about 50 some stories high. So it was one of the big ones. I call it the Stanley Cup building. So if you're familiar with downtown Minneapolis, it's the one that looks like the Stanley Cup. So again, hockey fans, we haven't forgotten about you. Absolutely gorgeous weather around that time. Cool, dry, temperatures in the 70s for highs, dew points in the 40s. It just had that nice crispness in the air, not a cloud in the sky, and it stayed that way the whole week. And then I'm listening to KFAN on the way to work, and then it's like the broadcast started to get interrupted about a plane hitting a building in New York. And I'm like, a very significant building. See, I wasn't ultra familiar with the two Twin Towers back then. I just wasn't, and I wish I was. I strongly regret that. I feel like an idiot. But sometimes that's how it goes. I just, I apologize. I apologize to anybody that might think that's ridiculous. But I was ignorant about that back then. A plane hit the building, you kind of figure, wow, that's terrible. Sounds like an accident. How could that happen, though? Jeez. And then a second plane hit the other building, and then everything, just no more conversation about sports. Complete 1,000% switch over to national radio, and it went on and on and on. And again, I went to work. And then for the first time in my life, it was like the old days, like World War II, or cartoons like DuckTales or whatever, where you see paper boys in the street saying "extra, extra." I never saw that before. Extra, extra, where it's a new newspaper. I had to get one, and it was extra, extra. 9/11. It was a new print of the Star Tribune. Extra, extra. I couldn't believe I was seeing that. It was literally like the old days in World War II, where something new was going on during the war and all that. Maybe the nuclear bomb or something in Nagasaki, things like that, or Hiroshima, or the war ending. The agreement taking place with Japan, this and that. It was unbelievable. The whole time I was kind of, like, wow, how I heard about the buildings collapsing and this and that, and I figured they collapsed a certain way, kind of slowly, like a boom, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, falling apart, kind of maybe like the Florida building, I guess, how it didn't all come down. It didn't all come down. Make note of what I just said. That building didn't all come down. Like a side of it fell off because the foundation was cracked, basically, in Florida. The foundation was just messed up. They never fixed it. They never did the right job when they built it in 1990. This and that, blah, blah, blah. These buildings were built for the possibility of this to happen, a plane hitting the building. We learned that not too long later, especially in some of those movies like 9/11 Mysteries and now I'm forgetting and blanking on some of them that have come out. Shadow Government, stuff like that, that have come out. Jason Burmis made a couple of very good ones over the years. If I can get some of that back again. But I'll pick those up in a minute here, because it wouldn't be polite of me to not mention them. Obviously, some of the information that I'm about to say is from there. You can disagree, you can agree, disagree, stuff like that. But I'm just kind of assuming that because I can't see anything. I'm just at work, and then I went outside to go for a walk, again, the extra, extra type of situation, and it was just a different world. And I felt like, boy, are we going to get hit next? We're in one of the largest buildings in Minneapolis. Something's going to happen. We're going to get hit too. And of course, the Pentagon got hit, and I was thinking, it's going to be a war for sure. Once the Pentagon is hit, it's a war. It's going to be World War III. Here comes, whatever. World War III is going to happen in the next couple of days here. The planes are going to head off to China or whatever the heck happened, whoever's involved. I kept thinking China. And then, of course, it was always this whole, Islamofascist, that type of thing, situation. That's always what people would come up with and all that. Obviously, that's what took place back in 93. That may have also been a New World Order inside job type of thing, but we'll find out someday, I guess. We'll find out someday, I guess, somehow, some way. But again, just a strange overall day. I get home and then I see it. And I'm thinking, that doesn't look right. The building's just like dissolved. What? They just went down in a heap, like in a couple of seconds. That's pretty fast. How could it go from like a full structure to just poof, that quickly? Most people would say, well, what are you talking about, Joey? The jet fuel went down the elevator lines and all that, and it caused all kinds of caused a chain reaction that eventually weakened the structure, and then everything kind of melted and bent, and then boom, down everything went. But it just seemed too quick, didn't it? Didn't it seem too fast? Didn't it seem a little too fast? To me, it did. And then you hear talk about how many years later, like 9/11 Mysteries, stuff like that. And now I'm remembering Loose Change was the 9/11 one from Jason Burmis years ago. Again, I don't mean to be some crazy conspiracy theorist, but I just think there's some there's some unanswered questions out there. Let's just leave it at that. It's not 100,000% fact, every single thing. So again, don't take it as gospel, but just kind of think about it. It's something to think about. That's a way to look at it. 9/11 Mysteries to me was probably the most detailed. But that's what made me think way back then. But then it's like, okay, yes, planes can do that. I guess they can do that. So my God, the IDS would have went down immediately. There wouldn't even have been a delay. The IDS would just explode if a plane hit it. Explode. Yeah, that's an interesting word. You know, the IDS is what, a 50-some story tower in downtown Minneapolis, of course. It's our World Trade Center. It looks like that kind of classic type of building. Those big glass, buildings that were built in the 70s. In the early 70s, a big giant lightning rod on top and all that, just like the World Trade Centers. And now you have the former Freedom Tower. It's got a new name now. Was it Building Center 1, basically? So, our World Trade, one World Trade. It sounds creepy. One world, like one world, New World Order. Yeah, one world. All together, yeah, as a New World Order. It just sounds creepy. I don't know, but I guess it's the #1 World Trade Center. I guess that's what it is, but the way they word it, it doesn't sound good. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And of course, when you consider who owned the buildings at the time of the incident, we'll call it, the attack, and other things possibly, it's also pretty suspicious stuff. The buildings were sold in July of 2001 to a man named Larry Silverstein, who obviously big wealthy guy, blah, blah, blah. It's not about his wealth. It's not about this. It's not about that. But then strange things started happening in the weeks before 9/11. Bomb sniffing dogs were removed. And there were just empty floors. There were floors that were, you could hear work going on, construction going on the floors. And then people would go in there, and then all of a sudden there's nobody there. But you'd see dust on the windowsills all over the place. Like people had been working, maybe putting things in there, this and that. It's crazy, just crazy stuff. And then it's crazy. Obviously, backing up a little bit, Larry Silverstein was ordered to have the asbestos removed from all the metal pillars in the building, inside the building, which would cost over $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion. Insane. These buildings were worth quite a bit less than that at this stage, and they were actually losing money because it was hard to heat and air condition the buildings and run them, this and that. They were actually losing millions of dollars a year. Larry Silverstein put a 99-year lease on the building that was specifically covered by terrorism. And yes, we understand, okay, terrorism happened in 93, and they're an iconic thing that terrorists might want to attack, this and that, but pretty suspicious at the same time when you consider what took place. Again, he bought buildings that were losing money, that were actually required by the government to remove the health and safety out there in the government, required him to remove the asbestos from all the metal inside the building, the metal bars inside the building. That would cost over $1 billion to pay, and no insurance company was willing to cover the cost. It would have to come out of his pocket. $1 billion. $1 billion. So then when the buildings went down, Larry Silverstein got a multi-billion-dollar handout that had him be able to rebuild an entire new facility after all the terrorism, so to speak, took place, and he was able to rebuild it all basically for free with money left over. That's how big the payout was from the insurance and all that. 99-year insurance policy and the 99-year lease and all that. It's just unbelievable to consider what took place there. Massive. And it was like urban renewal in a lot of ways. That's kind of the theme of it. It's like you buy an old building, you tear it down and build a new one. You blow it up like they did back in the old days with the demolition. And I don't know, it just kind of looks like that's what happened in a lot of ways, because look at the way the buildings went down and all the suspicious activities that led up to it. Larry Silverstein came out pretty good. He came out pretty damn good in that whole situation. Brand new buildings, brand new situation. Oh, sure, a few people died, but you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. It's all creepy. And of course, the government was able to get a lot more control. They were able to make the Patriot Act public, which existed during the 90s and the Clinton era. All of it was happening. It just wasn't public yet. And they were spying on regular American people on a regular basis. Millions of American people was the government during the Clinton era. So it's a lot of stuff to think about. That's probably as far as I should go, this and that. But again, it's stuff to think about. And when you watch how quickly the buildings went down, to me, what was the game changer, I'll just leave it at this, and it's something to think about, food for fodder, so to speak, food for thought, pardon me, is Building 7. Building 7, I know you might think, oh, brother, another one of those guys. Yeah, fine. Building 7 was not hit by a plane. Very, very small fires were in that building. Very small. And that thing went down in a heap. It went down exactly like a demolition would go down. And a lot of white-collar crime was basically vaporized or destroyed, basically. Destroying evidence. A lot of evidence of white-collar crime throughout the country and the world was destroyed in that building. That was the FCC. It's just unbelievable. You know, a lot of that information was kept there, including Enron and stuff. And all that evidence was destroyed, including maybe possibly the planning of what took place as well. So it all looks very suspicious. People say, oh, a gas line blew up. You know, gas lines blew up because of the other buildings. I don't know. When I got home, or when I heard that on the radio that building went down, because I didn't see it yet, I was thinking, oh, it was probably some small building that got hit really hard with debris, you know, and all that from the other buildings collapsing. It was probably just beat to hell. There were other buildings, like Building 4, Building 6, blah, 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 blah. They were beat to hell and they were still standing. And they did demolish them the next couple of days. They said it's time to pull Building 6. And then all of a sudden, this building that, it had a small fire on one or two of the floors, this and that. There was evidence of explosions in the building that were very suspicious, according to certain people that are no longer with us. They died mysteriously after that. And the building just went down in a heap, like in seconds. That doesn't make sense. Has that ever happened since then? A tiny fire? I mean, not a tiny fire, but compared to the size of the building, very tiny. It was not hit by an airplane. So does that sound suspicious? I think it does. At the very least, that building was not destroyed by an airplane. It was not destroyed by an airplane, and it's unbelievably suspicious. Even if it's scientifically provable that Buildings 10 or 1 and 2 were destroyed, went down because of the planes, so be it. But Building 7 did not go down because of a plane hitting it and breaking the foundation or whatever. Very suspicious situation if you watch Building 7. There are lots of visual evidence out there that says, like, no, there's no way. It's never happened since. It never happened before that. That building went down in a heap. Made no sense to me. Absolutely none. So I wanted to make sure I left that there. That's when I started thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. It's crazy that I never really heard about Building 7, but of course they didn't really talk about it, did they? You know, them being the media, this and that. So suspicious. Food for thought, folks. Food for thought. You don't have to agree with me. You might think I'm full of crap. You might think, oh, brother, I'm running away. It's another one of those nut jobs. It's up to you. It's up to you, but I think it's something to think about at the very least. I'm not going to go out and protest and make a lunatic of myself, but at the same time, I just think it's something to think about. Regardless, at the end of the day, it should be about the people that lost their lives, innocently lost their lives. You know, they did nothing wrong to deserve that. And obviously, especially the people that saved lives and sacrificed theirs that day. It should be mostly about that, but I thought I would bring that up as well, that it is a suspicious thing, and I'll probably do a whole show about it later on with better details, but I figured I'd kind of plant that seed today a little bit, and some of you that might be kind of like, you might want to question it a little bit, but there's more information again now for you to think about and for you to research yourself. Again, I'm not I'm not preaching the gospel here. It's just information to think about. Again, though, I mean, the people that did what they did that day, thank you so much, and God bless you. I hope to see you in heaven someday and shake your hand, give you a bro hug or just a hug in general. God bless you so much. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. And we will now give everyone involved that day, including those that may have suffered lung cancer afterward and other type of ailments that they maybe didn't survive because of all the awful debris in the air, a moment of silence. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. With that, I'll take a quick break, and then we will get into this vaccine mandate situation that is pretty insane. And we are back here on Freedom of Thought, segment number 2 in this case. We've actually never had multiple segments, but I figure we're going to start doing that sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but because it's like multiple topics, you don't want to just kind of just go from this to that to this to that. So it's sometimes good to split things up a little bit. Let's get to the vaccine mandate. How did I know it would happen? Joe Biden, this past Thursday, announced that he was going to issue a mandate for the vaccine for company employees of companies of over 100 employees out there. That's insanity. So that's basically like everybody almost. It just feels like everybody, which makes me wish I worked for myself or worked in the mom and pop company. See, like my brother can't mandate it. It's only a couple of us. So me and my brother and 2 nephews and niece. So can't do it there. That's about what, 5? That's 5 of us, so we're good there. Unfortunately, Boston Scientific, there's over 100 people in the room practically that you work with, so yay. So it looks like things are heading my way, unfortunately. They're talking about how obviously some attorney generals in like red states, this and that, might help stop it, and in their state, this and that, they be able to file lawsuits and such if you have a good attorney general. Minnesota, we've got Keith Ellison. We've got that POS, pile of junk, psychologically and morally bankrupt POS, Keith Ellison for our Attorney General. So, hello. Do you think he's going to stand up and try to stop it for the state of Minnesota? No. He's one of the worst politicians, one of the most evil, corrupt piles of crap I've ever seen. And the fact that he's the Attorney General for Minnesota just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside. It's like, places like the city of Minneapolis, you don't even have Republicans running for mayor because it's just Democrat versus Democrat. There's too many Democrats in Minneapolis. It's like, yay, you might get 10% if you're a Republican in the city of Minneapolis. So Golden Valley, I don't know what our mayor is. I used to kind of like him a little bit, but then his entire campaign was about, social justice crap, and of course, rainbow this, rainbow that. I basically called it Rainbow Valley the last few years because there's a lot of people that you would classify fit that category. I don't hate them. I don't want them to die, blah, 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 but it's against God's word. I do not support, I don't support the activity. I don't support gay marriage. I don't. I see marriage as between a man and a woman. One man, one woman, all that good stuff. You don't have to agree with me. It's not required for you to agree with me. You might have a libertarian point of view on that. I don't. I have libertarian views out there. I don't think people should be watching employees on camera all day. I think that's horrible. That's fascist, whether you look at a conservative or liberal. That's fascist to me, watching people on a camera all day. I think that's awful. Unless there's reason to be watching that person like they've been stealing things. Like something's really wrong here. Something's wrong. Maybe watch an individual person here and there. That's the only time I think that's okay. Like probable cause, as they try to say in the business. But when it's just all the time, I think that's a little crazy. Just a little crazy. That's a little bit on the fascist side at the end of the day. But I think what Joe Biden's doing is fascist. I mean, I think it's just absolute brown shirt Nazism, what he's trying to do here, forcing people to take something that we don't actually know what's in there. We don't. In fact, when you do hear certain things that might be in there, it's pretty scary. And at the end of the day. Plus, they talk about how even if it is a real vaccine, like it actually is a real vaccine against the coronavirus, so to speak, COVID-19, it's kind of like cold flu situation where, the flu, I guess, is a different thing in a way, but it's like the colds, where there's like a billion different kinds of colds, and if you try to make a vaccine for it, it'll actually make things worse, much, much worse. It'll actually help create worse viruses. Which is strange. I don't understand truly how that works. I don't have the MD or anything like that to explain how that works. but the science says that it would create super colds, super viruses that could make things more deadly, and that basically that's what this COVID vaccine is doing. Things like the variant and such are actually caused from the vaccinated, not from the unvaccinated, but from the vaccinated. And when the words Joe Biden was using, talking about how this is not about freedom, this is about the unvaccinated, basically, and how they're not, basically how you need to care about people, you need to protect those you work with, and just the way he was kind of scolding people that wouldn't take the vaccine, and that this is going to take care of that now, you SOBs, or you can get tested once a week. How generous, how thoughtful, how kind. You can get tested once a week. That's great. Unfortunately, in my case, guess what happened? When I was tested, because the stupid companies had like a bajillion people get tested at the same time because they thought they were being smart for some reason because, the variant's around now, watch out. I actually may have had the variant quite possibly because they said it's kind of cold-like, but it affects everybody different. It's kind of more like a cold than attacking your lungs, so to speak, which is actually, really scary stuff if it attacks your lungs. But in this case, it didn't for me or my wife. My wife obviously got it because we're in the same apartment, and it's not exactly a big, giant place either, this apartment. It's kind of too late, too little too late. It's more spreadable as well. That's the other thing. It's got better legs. It's easier to spread. That's the other thing. It's like, it's going to, so that's scary in that sense. But they say that's caused from the vaccinated. Because of the spike proteins and such, it can actually help mutate the virus. It goes into a vaccinated person, and okay, they're vaccinated, they're okay, and then it actually creates worse viruses when it comes out. So just that's how science works apparently, and that's what would happen if there was a cold vaccine. That's why there's never been a cold vaccine. Plus, there's a billion different kinds of colds, basically. Slight exaggeration, slight. There are a lot of different kinds of colds. You'd have to have one like many thousands of times to finally be immune to colds, unless that mutates again, which probably would. Colds suck. But no, the company, I think it was around 300 people, and yay, lucky me, I was one of them. The week I had returned from COVID-19, my quarantine, so to speak. So what do you think happened? Even though my symptoms were pretty much gone, obviously there's always a little bit of lingering feeling like I couldn't eat as well still, but everything else was long gone, like the sore throat and all that, and that other weak, nasty feeling, long gone. I just couldn't eat as well, but it was pretty much gone. What do you think happened? Positive. So I got Friday off. That was nice. I got Friday off. I was happy about getting Friday off, but I kept saying, no. I just had it. It's like a residue, so to speak. Of course, my wife didn't want to listen to that. She went absolutely ballistic and psychotic on me because she reacts to things differently than normal people sometimes. Watch out. That's all I got to say about that. But no, it's exactly what I figured once I was able to finally talk to a nurse, which took the entire weekend to finally get to talk to one. They finally were able to call me back when I was cutting grass. I miraculously pulled my phone out of my pocket to see, and then suddenly saw the phone ring. I was like, wow, that was lucky. Wow. I didn't miss the call. Hallelujah. Because I kept wanting to check and I almost forgot. Miraculously, I was able to talk to the nurse, and she said, oh yeah, that's exactly what you suspected. It's like a coffee stain. Like, I spilled coffee, I cleaned it up, everything's gone, but there's a little stain still, unfortunately. That's kind of all it is, and it kind of lingers a little bit. The virus has been beaten, but there's like fragments of it, and it shows up as a positive test. So, watch. But they say that can linger up to months. So I guess if I get if I get tested, I might get positive again. How exciting. Luckily, nothing's imminent this second, but we'll have to wait and see how things go. Is this something that should even be considered, though? No. They shouldn't force people to take a vaccine, especially when we don't know what's in it. There's talk about even magnetic, like liquid metal. It sounds crazy. It sounds like some kind of sci-fi movie, but there's conversations out there where people will put a magnet on their arm on the spot where the vaccine was put in, and well, voila, the magnet stuck to it. So I don't have visual proof to that, unfortunately, but yikes, that's scary. And you would hope people wouldn't lie about something like that at the end of the day. And because we're talking tons and tons of cases in that situation, people like Hank Aaron, who were perfectly healthy, older but perfectly healthy, boom, gone in like less than a week after the booster shot. That's the other part that scares the crap out of me. See, you get a flu shot, okay, it's a year. I'm not a big fan of that either. In fact, a lot of people will tell you that your allergies tend to get worse and worse as you keep taking flu shots. I don't remember having allergies as a kid. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff now, especially oak and birch and some other stuff. I mean, I can't even see hardly in the middle of the night after doing a fall cleanup at some of those lawns with a ton of oak leaves, of course, oak trees. I can hardly see. My eyes cloud up, much less my breathing is insanely blocked up. It's insanely blocked up. I think I've taken 2 or 3 flu shots in my life and don't think I want to take any more. No. So, again, the other stuff that really creeps me out about the whole thing that I was going to talk about even before this gosh darn evil mandate was the multiple shots, so to speak. You get the first one, okay, now you need the booster. And then now they're talking about the third one. And Pat Micheletti, who's, he's on the Gopher hockey mural, basically. He's one of the best Gopher hockey players of all time. That's Gopher men's, University of Minnesota College men's hockey. He was so proud of himself for taking his third shot because he's immune compromised, so to speak. Okay, maybe he has asthma or some other situation. He's got something like a weak immune system, something like that. But don't you think 3 shots is getting a little creepy? Don't you think that's a little creepy? And especially the way everybody, and I mean everybody that responded to him on Twitter, this is on Twitter, was, wow, so enthusiastic. You go, you're wonderful, great job. I'm so proud of you. Proud of taking 3 shots? Okay, 3 shots for the same virus, supposedly. Proud of you, huh? I don't understand the pride about getting injected with God knows what. Pride. Doesn't that sound weird? Why are people magically proud about that? Does that creep you out? Because it creeps me out. It really does. I mean, 2 shots creeps me out too. But the attitude behind it is even worse than the actual actions. And I'll say again, Hank Aaron died. Hank Aaron, the legendary home run king, because Barry Bonds cheated. Obviously, there's no race thing here. There was with Ruth and Hank Aaron. There were some people that were pissed off about Hank Aaron passing Babe Ruth because he was not white. He was black and Babe Ruth was white. And they're like, oh, how dare you pass the wonderful Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was the legend, but if Hank Aaron earned it, Hank Aaron earned it. And he didn't cheat. God bless him. And Babe Ruth didn't keep himself self-healthy. Hank Aaron played over 20 years in baseball. Hit 40 home runs, like I don't know how many times. That's how he got there. It's not because he hit 73 home runs in a season, and and everything skyrocketed in the end, this and that. The other thing though, Barry Bonds was consistent like Hank Aaron. He could have been a modern day version of him. He was a 40 home run every year type of guy, and he just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. He didn't have to cheat. It's just a damn shame that he did that. Somebody in their upper 20s, low 30s. Into their 30s, their hat size changes 3 times. Something's wrong. Your hat size doesn't change from your upper 20s to your 30s. Mine certainly didn't. And mine grew like crazy from my teens into my low 20s, my early 20s. It was like, oh my God, what the hell? It stopped growing in my early 20s. God knows how many steroids and other nasty stuff is in processed food these days. So, yeah, I need to watch out about that. But 3 sizes, so obviously there's a massive steroid involvement going on there. As much as he could deny it till he's blue in the face, everybody knows this and that. And Barry Bonds didn't have to do that. He actually became a little injury prone later in his career. Obviously age will factor in that, but my God, I'm going way off, and I apologize. Way off into sports here, which is fine. I guess I'm a sports nut at the end of the day, but to think that Hank Aaron died like that. Hank Aaron died so suddenly when he was so healthy. Suddenly. And so many others. Thousands of cases throughout the world of people, having seizures, this and that, and then passing away or having close to death experiences. Oh, man. Ben Stein, obviously, who has that classic voice of "Yes, we all wear masks, metaphorically speaking," in the movie The Mask and many others. Ben Stein with that boring voice, you gotta love him. Conservative actor, he almost died. Almost died. He's like, wow, that was insane. Basically, like I'm shocked I survived. Heck, even Jacob at work, he took the Johnson & Johnson. It was one because it was like the booster was added in that one, and his heart started pounding like insane. He thought he was going to die too. Crazy. It just started pounding through his chest, and he was like, "Oh my God!" He could, it was when he was trying to sleep, that type of thing. I got that a little bit when I had the flu back in 2016. I didn't feel like I was going to die, but it was scary. It was a type of a flu where the Johnson & Johnson, it sounded like he was really in trouble. But luckily, thankfully, he's okay. Thank you, Lord. But when we're talking three shots, that really scares me, this and that. So, I don't know, the pride behind it scares me. And now this mandate is insane. And I keep trying to tell people I'm as vaccinated as it gets because I have natural immunity. I have natural immunity to COVID-19 because I had COVID-19 and defeated COVID-19. I'm still doing the show. I'm still alive, even though May 8th was the last episode. Let's hear what Dr. Fauci had to say about it when he was questioned. Now, this is from the War Room on InfoWars, hosted by Owen Schroyer. Outstanding show, highly recommended. Looks like for now, Apple Podcast doesn't work for it. I don't know, because of the shadow banning and all that crap that they do out there. And it's on Google Podcast, though, thankfully. Hopefully I don't get him kicked off now. But obviously he works at InfoWars, Alex Jones, this and that. Again, it's your opinion how you feel about Alex Jones at InfoWars and Owen Schroyer. But take a listen to what Dr. Fauci had to say, because Fauci said this.
In the meantime, here is Dr. Fauci on CNN. This is just an incredible soundbite from Dr. Fauci on CNN last night. Why we would ever listen to this guy after this clip or take any medical mandate seriously after this soundbite is incredible. Here it is.
And just real quickly, there was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity. And basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID, I'm protected, and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response. The one thing the paper from Israel didn't tell you is whether or not, as high as the protection is with natural infection, what's the durability compared to the durability of a vaccine.
Actually, it did get into that. You lied again. It did get into that.
But you may not be protected for an indefinite period of time. So I think that is something that we need to sit down and discuss seriously. Because
so there you go. So take him down. So he admits he hasn't looked into natural immunity. He needs to still look into it. But, they're going to mandate vaccines, and he's pushing vaccines, and he's banning treatments that actually work that aren't vaccines. This is unbelievable. I can't believe he said it on TV, but he did. Says, natural immunity? I don't know. I guess I'll have to look into it. And really doesn't even answer the question. I mean, his answer is, I guess, I don't know. But then he lies about the research out of Israel. They do say that natural immunity actually has a longer lasting effect than the vaccines. It's in the study. I read it earlier. So he admits that he doesn't care about natural immunity, hadn't looked into it. We don't really think about natural immunity. It's all about getting a vaccine in your arm.
Gotcha. What do you think about that? That's another gotcha moment. Just like when Bill Maurice was on Dan Barrero and they basically said, the flu's completely disappeared during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu has completely disappeared during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what did the flu do? It said, COVID-19's here, guy. I got to go hide behind a tree somewhere for the next, 5 years, 10 years, just so COVID-19 can take over. It's all about COVID-19 now. Does that not seem suspicious? I mean, just look at all this. Just look at what's happening out there in this world right now. It's absolutely nuts. So I don't know what else to say. Can't even put it in words how I feel about all of it. Again, what more is there to say? And yet the public buys into all of it. I can't believe how many conservatives are getting vaccinated. I mean, I don't know. They're just buying it all hook, line, and sinker. I know, and you have to travel. You have to get the vaccine. Okay, well, I mean, it's your opinion, this and that. I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to trash you. I'm probably talking to some people right now that are vaccinated. So I'm not meaning to trash you. I just think I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't. But I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to segregate you from society, which is what they're trying to do. These crazy lunatics running this government. Sounds like Trump is going to run again in 2024. I mean, it should be the landslide to end landslides. It should be. How the bleep could Joe Biden possibly still be president tomorrow, much less, 2024? How the bleep could he possibly get reelected, even if he's still coherent enough to be president? I don't know. He can hardly talk most of the time, and when he does, he's drugged up, this and that. Maybe they gave him doses of espresso. Who knows what the heck they gave him? Speed. I have no idea. Sure looked like he was on speed whenever he did those commercials back during the election and everything. All they did was hide in the basement and everything was going to be okay. That's what they did with Hillary Clinton, and then she was stunned. She was pissed. She went absolutely berserk that night when, wow, Trump's actually going to win. This is blah, 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 blah. Every swear word in the book, which was a situation there. This administration has no business running this country. They have no business running anything. They have no business running a damn thing. You wouldn't want them running anything. Either too much control or too much stupidity or all the above. Might want to lean with all the above on that one. We can just, at this point, only hope and pray to God somehow, some way this nonsense is stopped before it's 100% in place at the end of the day. This is the kind of thing that should have been voted for throughout the Senate and the House. Maybe it would have passed anyway with these corrupt SOBs. But you'd hope that enough people would stand up and say no to this. Instead, nope, it's dictatorial. Nope, guess what? It's going through as executive order, blah, 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 blah. What a world we live in. It's frightening. It's scary. I disagree with it 1,000%, frankly. I'm kind of at a loss of words. I had a lot to say a lot of times, and then you just you think it over, and then you just kind of are almost indifferent to it. And that's the last thing we want to be, is completely indifferent. We have to do the best we can to say no. We have to do the best we can to call, get in touch with representatives. Pray to God they listen to us, especially ones that we know just might actually listen to us. Calling Ilhan Omar isn't going to help. Calling Attorney General of Hell, Keith Ellison isn't going to help, unfortunately. In Minnesota, I just don't know what to say. I mean, we have to hope and pray that this can be stopped on a federal level, because Minnesota's not going to stop it. I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, get vaccinated. I just love the way Biden ended. I'm not going to call him president. He's the false president. He was never president, never will be. Not because they didn't vote for him, not just because of that. He didn't win. He didn't win, and all those of you that think he did, I don't know. If you think open lots and dead people count for votes, I think you're nuts. Because it's been proven time and time again. They voted for Hillary too, but this time more of them voted for Biden. I forgot some of the stuff I was about to say in a lot of ways, but it's a situation that is just, it boggles your mind that this man could be even in office right now. But again, it needs to be stopped on a federal level. We have to hope and pray to God the Rand Pauls and others, and Mitch McConnell grows a backbone again, which he had for about 5 minutes after John McCain died. He actually had a backbone for a minute, him and Lindsey Graham, but now they're kind of going back and forth. You can never trust those people, unfortunately. They don't represent anything. They just represent big government. They represent China and all that. They represent the New World Order. But hopefully there's more and more Rand Pauls out there. That's what we need. We need more Rand Pauls. Governor DeSantis, unfortunately, it sounds like he's kind of become more of a vaccine proponent, which is unbelievable. I wish so much. I want to end the show with this. I wish so much that it was as simple as, hey, you just get the vaccine and everything's going to be okay. You don't know how much I wish that. I'm not somebody who just wants to go against everything, just to go against everything because it's fun and it's interesting and I like to stir up the pot and be a jackass and just make everything complicated. You don't know how much I wish in my heart that I could go just go to the clinic, get the vaccine, and everything's okay. Nothing to worry about. No side effects. Coronavirus, adios, bye-bye. Rock and roll. Take your mask, maybe either burn it or frame it on the wall for memory. I don't know what the heck you want to do with it. Use it if you have a cold or something. You have a big cough, to prevent coughing nasty stuff on people. God knows what that would be. Just save it for something like that if you still want to wear it. If you're just not, for certain days when you're not feeling good, which hopefully is a very small amount of time of your life, small couple of days or a week tops. I wish so much in my heart, I'll say it one more time, that this was as simple as that everything was okay, that we could trust what's going on right now. But when you look, this is another thing I wanted to get to. I'm glad my memory returned a bit. This is why you can't. Look at the people that are in charge of all of this. Just look at them. It's not about Biden. It's not about the cackler Kamala, who likes to about everything. Everything's a joke to her. She's a joke. She's the one you should be cackling at. Cackle at yourself, you cackling Kamala. Cackling Kamala. Yeah, that's what she is, though. Bill Gates, who made his fortune off of a lie. He made his fortune off of a lie. He stole software from another company, just stole it. Him and Steve Jobs both did, and both went their separate ways and created these massive software companies that exist today, software, computer, all that good stuff. These programs that led to very successful lives for both of these men. Unfortunately for Steve Jobs, he passed away young with cancer, and someone else has taken over. It's Tim Cook. Tim Cook of Apple now, who took over and made multi billions off of it. We thank you for the nice software. I'm glad I can use this Microsoft computer right now. The Novo IBM basically is what it is. Laptop had replaced the other one since the last show. That thing completely blew up. It's down there. That's another reason for the delay. But then again, it really wasn't. I could have been back up and running sometime in June pretty quickly there. I would have lost just a couple of days ultimately. Because I got this laptop immediately after that happened. I'm not going to go without being able to do podcasts or whatever. We appreciate the software, the technology and all that. But the way they went about it was wrong. It should have been that company. That company should have had it, and maybe they could have worked their way up and blah, 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 more of an honest way. Maybe they could have moved up and then honestly maybe moved on and created their own thing with permission, this and that. But no, they stole it. That's somebody that's representing this vaccine. That's somebody that also, again, another point that I wanted to get to, it has in the past talked about depopulation and about ways of depopulation. We have this, we have that, we have ways of depopulation, birth control. Obviously, he's in charge of Planned Parenthood, this and that him being Bill Gates, him and now his ex-wife, but that's what they were, Bill and Melinda Gates, all their foundation, creepy ass stuff. But yeah, Planned Parenthood. They had Planned Parenthood, which involves it's depopulation. It's preventing children from being born, basically, even though they're alive, but from coming out of the womb alive, basically, or at least not long after they come out of the womb, which is just breaks your heart when you think about or see that in video. And he also mentioned vaccines as a way of depopulation. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. He said it out loud. It wasn't edited. He said it. And then you have Dr. Fauci's the other one. He's like the main guy, who there is so much evidence pointing to him about this whole thing being created by him and others in North Carolina and in Wuhan, China, and all this creepy crap going on and gain of function that Rand Paul confronted him with. It's unbelievable. Stuff we can all do our own research on. It is absolutely nuts to think about what took place there and how he handled the whole AIDS pandemic in the 80s, where he didn't order the shutdown of bathhouses, this and that. That's what Michael Savage brought up multiple times in his show, which led to many, many more deaths of AIDS from the gay community out there. Where it's like he didn't give a rat's ass. It's all about just big pharma it's all about making a buck with the Dr. Fauci's and Bill Gates. That's all they care about. They don't give a rat's ass who dies. We don't care. We don't care as long as we come ahead billions and zillions of dollars. And to think that Dr. Fauci, or just Fauci, let's just call him Fauci, a mad scientist, crooked, evil, greedy, SOB Fauci, Satan-worshipping Fauci. There's another thing, too, about something about 666,000. I forget what that was. I apologize. That's really creepy with Fauci as well, magically coming up with that number. But how these people are the ones running this whole situation, it scares the crap out of you. It truly does. Again, gain of function, which he will deny till he's blue in the face, but it's, there's a lot of evidence to support that. Obviously, Truth to Ponder is another show I highly recommend, which talks about this kind of stuff a lot. Bob Bierman obviously does an amazing job. Conservative Christian like myself, kind of lives in Florida, lives in Georgia, just does an amazing job. Radio engineer for many years, worked in the medical emergency business, this and that. Later in his life, it was like a later career. Just, and he's been a pastor as well. Just does a fantastic job. I highly recommend The Truth to Ponder and God, Sex, and Sin from Sebastian Barton. Hope he's listened to this show. I'm not sure he has. We met in the Purple Mafia, or through Purple Mafia, both Viking fans. He's from Mankato. I'm from Golden Valley, Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. But he does God, Sex, and Sin. He's become a bit political and all that during the years, and he's done a hell of a job with that podcast. He really cuts open a vein, which I try to do on this show. This is kind of my version of it. It's different. It's opening a vein, freedom of thought, saying what's on your mind, and encouraging others to say what's on their mind as well at the end of the day. So I probably should look at the mailbag if there's anything there. There might not be a whole lot. Maybe I'll kind of burn through it real quick before this gets too much long. Almost an hour. Wow. So just a lot to say today and kind of getting caught up. And man, I mean, when you have 9/11 and all that combined with, combined with this vaccine mandate in the same week, it's pretty crazy. At the end of the day, I don't think there was a whole lot of comments. I just kind of brought stuff up, and now it's like Facebook's not working so hot all of a sudden. I was saying how it's becoming a fascist dictatorship in the NFL, how offensive line coach Rick Dennis of the Minnesota Vikings was basically removed from his job for refusing to take the COVID vaccine. He's gotten a consultant role, smaller pay, and kind of way off in the background. How nice. Another one, late July, they're during the Olympics. It was funny how, I don't even want to mention her name, that nasty lady on the soccer team, the women's soccer team, was kneeling during the national anthem. She just hates America, and she's gay, and we're happy for her. The comment was, when you're kneeling for racial justice, but your black teammate is standing in respect to the national anthem, you may just be an idiot. And the eyes rolling up. That was an awesome one. Love to see what her teammate was doing there. Good for her. Standing in respect and everything. I shared God, Sex, and Sin. The official race card. Yep, this is cool. The twins. Yep, those guys are cool, man. I love those guys. The Hodge twins. They're both black, of course. Really cool. Yep, it says 100% oppressed. Official race card. Yep. And then they have a white privilege one as well. Looks like a credit card. Steve Patterson. That's another thing shared here. I shared on the Facebook. Steve Patterson. It's remarkable how many people believe themselves intellectually superior for repeating what authority tells them. It's also remarkable how school is structured to reward students for their ability to repeat what authority tells them. I wonder if there's a connection. It's creepy, isn't it? Isn't that creepy? That good thoughts there. Steve Patterson out there. There was another goofy one. Funny how people might say this was karma on me because I got sick right after this in early August here. Pretty much how I feel I was saying. They say how to interact with someone who still wears a face mask, point and laugh. Like, aha, look at that moron. That is pretty much what I want to do. And how to negotiate with the terrorists, drop bombs on them. Yep, beautiful plane dropping a bajillion bombs down. Oh, yeah, and there was the other issue, too, with Biden and Afghanistan. Maybe I can get back to that another time, too. Or very, very, very briefly. Just kind of agreeing with what Savage wanted. He basically said, yeah, I mean, Biden literally did it backwards, and you could tell it's all on purpose. It's all on purpose because he doesn't give a rat's ass about America. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the soldiers and the people. It's like, oh, just get out of Afghanistan and then bring all the refugees here. Yay. They'll just have more refugees here regardless if they're good refugees or they're terrorists. Who gives a crap? Just bring them here. He left all the weapons there, too. Left all the tanks, left all the weapons there in Afghanistan. Just sick, disgusting. This was as I was recovering. I was pretty much back to normal, getting there from the COVID-19 when all that took place, and all it was during that same week. Couldn't believe it. And, Savage was saying, yeah, you slowly remove the equipment first, and then you kind of get the heck out of there gradually after that. You don't just, boop, out of here. Oh, we left that there, yeah. So you Afghani soldiers, just go ahead and use that and fight terrorism. And then, instead, the terrorists took them. Great. Took a chunk of it, and guess what? Well, guess what? Just put two and two together there. Rob Smith, conservative black, says, there is no such thing as a Biden supporter, only a Trump hater, because nobody in their right mind can support, quote unquote, what is happening to America right now. Yeah, unbelievable. Another interesting one, Rand Paul and Ilhan Omar here. Let's see what's going on. Okay, Rand Paul's commenting on Ilhan Omar, basically. He says, Ilhan Omar came here and we fed her, we clothed her. She got welfare, she got schooling, she got health care, and then, lo and behold, she has the honor of actually winning a seat in Congress. And she says, we're a terrible country? I think that's about as ungrateful as you can get. Yeah, I mean, yeah, damn right, man. That sums it all up perfectly without getting too critical, without getting too harsh. Another image here, the real virus affecting our country. It's like, yeah, they got their pitchforks, their baseball bats, their torches, including Mitt Romney's among them. That Senator Green, I believe, he's a jackass. Tlaib, Pelosi, Chuck the Schmuck Schumer, Color Cortez, and many others out there. Looks like Adam Schiff. Oh, they're all evil. There's Bernie in the background. I think I see Biden way back there. Oofda. Good, very nice painted picture. It shows Romney holding the Mormon Bible and has a huge club in his head to knock your head in. Because that's pretty much what he's. Yeah, he's King Saul. He's King Saul. You think he's on your side. He's not on your side. Yeah, there was a prophecy many years ago about how there's a King Saul among the Republicans that's not going to be president. That's him. Here we go. Benjamin Franklin will wrap up this section. He says, any society that will give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both. And that's what we've been doing at least since 9/11, if not further back. Again, with this whole Patriot Act thing. I agreed with it at the time. Little did I know, because I didn't know. I was 22 years old. I agreed to the Patriot Act. A little bit of education since then, and it's like, dang, wow. And to think that it was around very much around during the Clinton era. It just wasn't public yet. Think of what else is out there that isn't public yet. That's what freedom of thought is all about, is you just learn about this kind of stuff, or you let your mind wander, and it's frightening. It's frightening, truly. You wish this stuff could be used for good, but it doesn't seem to be quite often that it's used for good, which breaks your heart. Facebook.com/Freedom of Thought 1776. That will be in the show description. Freedom of Thought at Freedom of Thou 76, basically. Mostly just I shared a couple of things and this and that. Probably should let it go for now. Didn't interact a whole lot, unfortunately. Tried to. See, I'd like to do it more and more on the Twitter and on Facebook, but it's at Freedom of Thou 76. That will be in the show description. Wrapping up a little over an hour here, so that's not too bad. That's about how a lot of these shows usually are, about an hour. Michael Savage, Freedom of Thought, Truth to Ponder, shows like that, about the same length, a little over an hour or a little less. This is the longest show I've actually ever done for this one. So be prepared. I guess it's going to be with all the information out there. Who knows how long these shows could get at the end of the day. I hope you didn't take this as mindless ramble. I hope you didn't take this as conspiracy theory nonsense. There is just so much interesting information out there. Something has to be said. With that, I hope the audio didn't change too much either. I hope I didn't mess things up too bad here with the after the War Room segment. It kind of connected together, unfortunately. I don't think it's messed up too bad, but we'll find out, I guess. I apologize in advance if it's weird, but thankfully, to me, it looks good from what I'm seeing right now. It looks normal. I'd like to hear somebody do an audio submission. We'd like to hear somebody's voice on this show. Rant, rave, talk, just give your position on something. Say God bless America, whatever it is. Simply just send me an audio submission. All you got to do is open up your smart device. There's free voice recording applications in pretty much every smart device on the planet. In fact, they are. They're usually built in, or you could download a free one out of the App Store for Android or Apple. Very simple to do. Just open it, press record, treat it like a phone call, hit stop, save it, and then share it or email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. Paladinolive@yahoo.com. I will then convert it into an MP3 file thanks to Zamzar.com, which I deeply appreciate that they're able to convert it. Then I can put it in the editing software, and we can have a little interaction on here. Pretty cool. Otherwise, keep commenting on the Facebook page. Really miss you, Mark Carlson. Hope you're having a good summer. Football season starts tomorrow as well, so Purple Mafia is making a comeback. If you happen to be a football fan listening to Freedom of Thought and you've never heard of the Purple Mafia podcast, well, that's my football podcast. Purple Mafia, Minnesota Vikings. I'd like to meet some of you out there, though. Maybe you're from other states. Obviously, I truly doubt you're all from Minnesota. I truly doubt that because this show is worldwide. It doesn't have a Minnesota name on it like the Minnesota Vikings and all that. Obviously, Purple Mafia has fans all over the place. Listeners from Iowa, of course, South Dakota, Northern Scotland, New Zealand, Australia, Minnesota, I would hope, Nebraska, I believe New York, and other states out there. I think Texas, I'm not sure. I hope so. With that said, though, maybe I'm talking to someone in Texas right now, and hello and happy trails as I head to the end of this show, unfortunately. God bless you. God bless America. Please write a positive rating for Freedom of Thought on iTunes, iTunes, Audible, or Stitcher, if you could, would be greatly appreciated. God bless all of you, and we'll talk to you soon.